Chapter 1. Real Engineers. Mia guided the sea stallion down to the corner of the bazaar landing area, close alongside the big freighter that was planned to serve as their first maintenance base. "We need to get this ship moved to our land quickly," Cal said. "How difficult is it to drive?" "I'm sure I can drive it with thrusters." "We'll be best at driving it," Kira cried. "We've never crashed yet," Kyra added quickly. "That's not much of a recommendation," Mia muttered. "And anyhow, you two haven't got pilot licenses." "But you'll be needed to steer the sea stallion," Kyra said. "And show us where to go," Kira added quickly. "I used to drive this ship on thrusters before I had a crew," Cal said, but none of the women seemed particularly interested. "You can't steer so good. Remember those pods," Kyra said, a waggling finger up like she was a teacher rebuking a student. "You're better at being captain," Kira added. "You've been told," Mia said. "But would you really trust them to drive?" Looking at the girls, he said, "Maybe I would." Mia was shaking her head while the girls were hugging Cal tightly. "I see that pair have got you wound around their little fingers." "Our fingers aren't little," Kira said. "Big enough to work the joysticks," Kyra added quickly. "Go. Before a real pilot changes my mind," Cal said, the twins racing out the ship. "And be careful." But the girls would hardly have heard, running out the control room like a two-headed snake was chasing them. "They'll be fine," he said into the slammed hatch. Through the side viewports he watched the girls climb into the old freighter, while Mia set the course and warmed up the thrusters. Then on the first sign of the freighter's thrusters igniting, she had the sea stallion up and hovering in front, waiting. "We should have hooked up a way of listening to them. They'll be arguing who was doing the actual steering," Cal said. "It'll be one joystick each." "We should adopt them," he said, Mia's head turning in her pilot couch to face him. "They'll be part of our business right from the start." "What if we have children?" Mia said, watching him closely. "Bigger family, but I want to name our first. A horsey name, I suppose." "I'll accept suggestions," he said, grinning. "And you'll most likely win." "I'm not that bossy." "You're not too bad at all, and that's why we'll last together a lifetime." The viewport, he pointed. The big freighter was off the ground, and actually hovering level. Mia was back with her joysticks, moving the sea stallion ahead and watching for the freighter to follow. "They're keeping up good," Cal said. "No sign of a crash yet." Skimming low to the ground, and maintaining a steady speed, Mia pointed directly toward their land, the patch she'd marked with pins on her maps, because nothing much separated it from the expanse of dry brown land that was Grand Bazaar. Behind, the big freighter tagging along nicely, the twins maintaining an even level path, while below, they passed one of the many wrecked spaceship graveyards that littered the planet. Their plot of land had one identifying feature, a small hill in the middle of the square plot, and eventually, both ships came to a rest around the base of that hill. When Cal and Mia got to the big ship, they found the twins in the huge freight hold looking over all the treasures Orbis had loaded, including the small runabout. "We want to take it for a spin," Kira said. "Nothing is to be unloaded until we have someplace secure to leave it," Cal said. "Right now we need to go and get some more work to pay for everything." And that meant more bargain price trips for produce. Flying between here and the 5 farm planets scattered in nearby systems, their hold filled with assorted produce to bring back, since nothing grew on Grand Bazaar. Cal took the opportunity to mention to all the produce suppliers that he was getting serious and would soon have his own pods, and they were working toward establishing an outlet of his own. Every supplier had plenty of advice to offer, and all wanted to make sure their particular line was in the prime position of the new shop. Then a visit to his agent, Mr. Slee, presented another issue. "Business terminal must you having? Not liking ship 1. Buying selling stock only. Also business details. Owning. Names. Paperwork never ending. Even possible taxes. Even though I not liking. But you will be able to help with all that," Cal said. "You wanting me doing? You know what's needed, I only know about ships. Such working turning hair of head white. Your hair is already white, Kira chirped in. You already know the work then, Kyra added. Maybe I doing, Mr. Slee said smiling. Starting sooning we must. Before first stock buying you doing. For 3 days in a row, they did 2 trips for produce, then a message for Orbis saying to expect another old freighter in a day or so. It proved a day and a half before Cal was woken with the message saying the ship was in orbit and where did they want the ship landed. The face on the screen was of the captain that had delivered the previous freighter. Same place as before. Mia can guide you if you need. But help was politely declined. While still a freighter, this ship was smaller than the previous one. A little more than twice the size of the Sea Stallion, and it looked a smart modern ship. Has had an awful lot of use, the pilot said when they met again. Not much fuel either. Handles better than that bigger one we bought last time though. Now it was the long trip to ferry the captain and pilot back to their home, and return to Grand Bazaar. Cal was thinking a rest was the next task, but Mr. Slee suggested a different path. Urgent produce job I having special. 6 pods 1 pickup 1000. I saying fast you doing. Paying good I making them. We'll rest for sure once we finish this job, Cal said. No more jobs for half a day. I'll rest while you load and unload, Mia said. I'll be fine. I'd rather rest alongside you, Cal muttered softly. They had their system down now, him and the twins managing 2 pods each. Empty ones picked from the bazaar then loaded and secured. The ship into orbit, then the short time in ether space, then the descent. Mia resting while Cal and the twins took the empties to the supplier's warehouse and waited for the full pods to be produced. Previously, he had made it a practice to never ask what the freight actually was, but with the produce, he was keen to learn. Juice concentrates, the supplier said. We haven't seen that before, Kira said, her voice increasing. You've drank it many times I'm sure, the man said looking directly toward her. It's added to chilled water. Sometimes in the flasher places they put a slice of some fruit on the side of the glass or float it on top. In the bazaar, Kyra said quickly. We've had it. Expensive though. We share one between us. They're not really expensive. In these bulk containers it works out at about 7 glasses for a credit. We paid 2 credits for 1 glass in the bazaar. But it was very good, Kyra added. Cal was fully awake now. You have a price list. It took an extra 15 minutes, but they left with many details, and 3 small sample pouches of the concentrates that the twins had firmly in their grasp. I thought you were lost, Mia said when they eventually had the pods loaded and secure, the noise of that work making sure she was awake. I'll show you while you get ready to fly, Kira said. I'll show too, Kyra added, both girls racing toward the kitchen. You spoiling them, Mia said gently. The girls appeared each carrying a full glass and poking it toward Mia. Try that. It's kato fruit, Kira said, her glass full of a bright yellow liquid. This is prickleberry, Kyra added handing her greenish-colored glass even closer. Concentrate will make 7 glasses and cost us 1 credit, Cal said. It's what is in these pods out back. They have a huge range of flavors, and the concentrate keeps for ages. Mia took a sip of each and then another. Cal got a chance to try a sip too before the glasses were empty. The staff will drink all the profits, Mia said shaking her head. If we adopted them, they'd be owners too, Cal said softly, but all heard. You want us to be our parents, both girls yelled together. We'd like that, Kyra said grabbing her arms around Mia, Kira doing the same to Cal. It was supposed to be a surprise, Mia said, looking to Cal. We can pretend we don't know yet, Kira said. We're good at that, Kyra added. Good. You both pretend you don't know while we think about the details, Mia said. Now we've all got a ship to fly. Captain, get your crew back in order. All crew to their stations, Cal said loudly. Hatches locked and ship made ready to fly. Power at 100% Captain Dad, Kira called out. Shields set to auto, Captain Dad, Kira said. Course set and thrusters ready, Captain Dad, Mia said. He's Captain Husband for you, Kira corrected. Family ready to blast off, Cal said amongst a chorus of laughter. Get this family back to Grand Bazaar. It was supposed to be a half-day rest, but Cal's terminal beeped a message from Orbis before he was asleep. Take 6 normal from those boxes in your store and deliver to Joe at Apogee Rebuilders. Coords attached. He's expecting you soon. He has some freight to take back. Large freighter coming for balance. Cal replied that they would be there in a little more than half a day. Some of us need to get our sleep, he muttered. Then he messaged Mr. Slee saying no work for 24 hours. Even though it didn't feel like it when he next woke, the others insisted he had slept a good time. That pickup place is near where we deliver those ferry crew, Mia said. 3-hour trip. The girls have been looking up that place, and they rebuild thrusters there. Maybe we're taking refurbished thrusters for these ships. We'll know in 3 hours, Cal said, still convinced he hadn't slept a wink. Apogee Rebuilders were indeed thruster repairers, the area littered with the carcass of half-disassembled machines. Inside the large premises, amongst benches piled high with metal parts, was only one older man in well-worn work clothes. Looking for Joe, Cal said, the twins too busy inspecting the treasures scattered around. Orbis sent you, the man asked. He gave us 6 somethings to give you too. I half thought that old rogue might well shout on the deal, Joe said. Maybe I should see the color first. We'll get it, Kira said, and both twins ran from the shed before Cal could say anything. He messaged for us to take something now, and then another ship was coming for more. Not many details though. He's a sly one for sure, but he knows when to stay quiet too. Joe had been studying Cal carefully, and now he looked around the building. All this you're taking? Out of business. Time for a change of life, and the wife wants us to tour around the place before we get too old. There's a lot to see out there, Cal said carefully. 3 years I tried to sell out. Nothing. Well, only those with crazy deals. No one wants to work with this older machinery, even though it is hundreds of times more accurate than that modern stuff they pass off as precision machinery now. Saw your crew looking. They know. This going to your place. Setting up a maintenance base for our ships. It's a hard life, but an honest one, Joe said wistfully, the twins racing back, a small box in their hand. You check we have the right ones, Kira said, handing the box out toward Cal. You opened them, he said, and Joe sighed as the glow of the power rods was clear. A lifetime's work in one small box. Going to sell them? Cal asked. Only way. Double or triple? Joe started and looked to Cal. I know and remember nothing. We only transport pods. 1.5 million will give the wife the retirement she imagines. Maybe after all these years, we'll go out in style. Isn't that a Henderson punch? Kira called out excitedly from off the side. I never thought I would ever see one in the flesh. It's got the Adams precession micromotors too, Kira added. It's the absolute best option. Orbis said for us to load some of the smaller things in our ship, and he was sending a freighter for the rest, Cal said as they watched the girls lovingly caress the machinery. The only people who even knew what that was, Joe said softly. It's going to a good home then. He paused a moment. The storeroom. You should take the contents. Small things that might get missed by people that don't know. I'll get my pilot to help us, Cal said. Move your ship a bit closer first. Joe directed the move, and Cal and the women took trip after trip carrying handfuls of metal pieces of all shapes from the store. At least the twins seemed to be able to name everything in their hands, and the grin on their faces showed how excited they were to have them. Cal was wishing they had have known to take empty boxes with them. By the time the store was emptied, everyone but Joe was completely worn out, and Cal was worried about Mia flying the ship. I'll be better when I lie in my couch, she said. But you can do the unloading without me. All the trip back Cal tried to decide where they could put the parts they had on board. They still had another ship to move when they got back, and he didn't want to leave that ship parked at the bazaar unattended for long. "Park our ship with our hold ramp close to that other ship's ramp," Cal said when Mia had the Sea Stallion hovering over the bazaar parking site. "Maybe there's space in that new freighter to put this stuff." "It's not stuff," Kira insisted. "It's precision machinery." "Well, I'm going to rest while you move that precision machinery," Mia said. Mia did indeed rest while Cal and the twins explored the smaller freighter. There was already goods stored in the hold, but there seemed to be enough free space to scatter the metal pieces around, so it was back to taking handfuls and moving them. Tiring, repetitive and slow. Mr. Slee messaged saying he had 2 more jobs when they had time. Low pay, so not express. And they still had to move this freighter. "We'll drive the freighter," Kira said as soon as the freight was secured. "You know we can do it. You'll follow Mia." "The same as before," Kira said. "We won't crash." When Cal went alone to the control room of the Sea Stallion, Mia was lying on the bed fully clothed, her eyes closed. "Cuddle me," she murmured when he was close, and he quickly laid alongside her, an arm cuddled over her side. They were fully wakened by the ship's comm. "Calling the Sea Stallion. We're ready to fly." The twins had activated that freighter's comm system. There was to be no rest. "You letting them drive again?" Mia said, still sleepy. "They promised not to crash." "Who's watching them?" "They're watching themselves. I trust them." Mia shook her head. Maybe it was to clear the sleep from her head. "We better go then." Another slow and low trip to their land, the twins behaving themselves, and the small freighter landed alongside the other big one. "We're staying here until we all have had a good sleep. Some of us old folks need our rest." Rested, there was a day of doing 2 low-paying produce trips and then a message from Mr. Slee that he wanted all of them at his office wearing uniforms for paperwork. "IDs for business you needing," their agent said when with their orange tops they were all standing before him. "Setting up business terminal we doing." "We don't have IDs," Kira said. "We were slaves," Kira added. Mr. Slee stared at the twins a moment. "Fixing problem I doing," he said suddenly. "No one knowing is not real. Man I getting. Deal we making." With that Mr. Slee stood back and worked his personal terminal. "Coming he is." "Waiting you doing." They waited, and a short man with long black hair came holding a briefcase clutched across his chest. "2 girls," Mr. Slee said pointing to the twins. "ID they needing?" "Slaves they wereing." "Cost we trading maybe?" The short man nodded, and placed the briefcase carefully on the counter, opening the lid and taking out a smaller machine that he poked toward the girls. That machine beeped when he held it close to Kira, and he brought the machine back and studied its screen. "Kira," he mumbled. "Engineers they being," Mr. Slee said. The short man poked his machine a little. "Stand back there," he said, pointing to a wall, and Kira did. The man poked his machine again and grunted. "Next one." Kira got into the same position and the same happened. A beep and confirmation of her name and then capturing an image. "Trade," the short man said to Mr. Slee. "We can move some freight," Cal said. "Papers not," Mr. Slee added softly. "Small parcel. You bring it to me and I'll have your IDs." "Deal." "Deal," Cal said, nodding. "The details on paper." "No terminal." "Wait while I get it." The short man was gone, quickly disappearing into the crowd of people walking the aisles of the bazaar. "Other freight I giving for hiding trip," Mr. Slee said. "Is he really giving us engineer IDs?" Kira asked. "Real they looking," Mr. Slee said. "Legal he making you." "We're real engineers, and assistant nurses too," Kira said delighted. "Maybe we should get driving licenses too," Kira added. "What would be needed for us to adopt them?" Cal asked Mr. Slee. "You marry first. I organize easy. Then adopt easy too." We do before making new business. I giving you job now. Cover special job. You quick doing. I design needing. The short man appeared when no one was looking, a small fragment of paper in hand. Call for final pickup and time. Tell him tomato when he asks you. I'll message him to expect you. This sounds like a real pirate job, Mia said. I don't think you should wear your orange tops. Back on the Sea Stallion, Mia looked up the address they had been given. About half an hour in ether space. Indigo Lake Planet 5. Looks a very populous planet. Here's the job, Cal said looking at his terminal. 6 pods again from 3 places, but only 500. Maybe we should get this special parcel first. Twins with me to help pick up empties. Empty pods loaded. It was an hour until they were in orbit around the 5th planet of Indigo Lake. No doubt this was a well-developed planet, the dark side dotted with the bright circle of lights of sprawling cities, and on the light side, the large buildings could be made out clearly from the surrounding country. This was nothing like the sparsely populated farming planets, and Cal was worrying how they were going to even find a space to land. No point worrying, they had work to do. He messaged the contact he had been given and waited while they orbited. The reply message did not improve his worry. Wait on the seat opposite the Polet Barber shop in the main concourse of the Springfield Mall just off the Inner Ring 7 spaceport. Message what you are wearing. Orange top, Cal messaged back while Mia studied her maps. I don't like these busy places, but that spaceport is about 20 minutes away. Take us there, Cal said. I think I better try a way to contact them to make sure we can land. It will happen automatically when we get close, Mia said. We'll come up on the ship's terminal. This is the most sneaky pirate job we've ever done, Kira said. We're coming too. Too risky for them, Mia said. I think we all should come, Cal said. I want my family together. Yes, Daddy, Kira said happily. Mia was right. As they came close to the Inner Ring 7 spaceport, the ship came alive, the Sea Stallion. Landing fee for spaceport 50 credits. Please agree. Pirates. Cal spluttered while he pressed agree. Guide to space 15. Additional 20 credits per day parking. Enjoy your visit. The main screen showed a map of the spaceport, their site clearly highlighted with Mia slowly gliding toward it while the girls were up close to the main viewport looking at the city below them. Maybe we should set up our own spaceport, Cal muttered. Be cheaper. Your visit logged at 11:21. Next charge in 24 hours. Thank you for your patronage. Let's get this pickup done before they find something else to charge us for, Cal said. Everyone ready? Hardly out the main hatch and there was a small hover car by them, the driver calling out if they wanted a lift. Springfield Mall, Cal said. 4 credits each, the driver answered. I'll pay, Mia said. Discount for plastic. I only see 3 people. Mia handed over 12 plastic credits that disappeared instantly. Business, the man said as they were all trying to decide who was going to sit where. Quick business, I hope, Cal said. We don't seem to be rich enough for this planet. The driver chuckled. This city is mainly for the bigwigs, and the prices are set according. Only 1 town away and it's not a quarter than it is here. The mall was right by the edge of the spaceport. They could have easily walked. They certainly would on their return, but for now, their driver dropped them right in front of the grand main entrance. This looks like an Imperial palace, Kira said suitably awed. We're not dressed properly, Mia said. They'll think we're only workers, Cal said. They'll ignore us. He was right there. As they walked along the grand concourse, it was as though they were contaminated goods, other walkers veering to keep well away from them, keeping their eyes down to the marble floor. Majestic produce. The sign catching Cal's sight, and he made a path direct toward it. We don't have time, Mia whispered. Only a quick look for ideas. through the wide doorway and into a cavernous shop, aisles of table-height displays and then taller displays around the walls, all filled with brightly colored produce from all over the galaxy. "Where's the customers?" Mia whispered. Cal had noticed too. The only person in the huge shop was an assistant who appeared to be ignoring them, focusing more on a terminal in her hand. "Look at the price of those prickle berries," Kira hissed. 10 times cost, Cal calculated. "They've got those drink dispensers," Kira said, scampering to where the machine was, but rather than trying one, she stood looking. 6 credits, she spluttered when Cal caught up with her. "We've seen enough," Cal said. "Let's find this barber." Kira found it first. Polet barber was not too difficult to find, and there was indeed a seat in the middle of the concourse in front of it. Not a huge one, but enough space for the 4 of them. "I don't know how that produce shop stays in business," Mia said once they were all as comfortable as they were going to be in a seat like this. "Ours will be better," Kira said. "This whole place is not for us," Cal said. "When we get this parcel we get out of here and never come back. It's good seeing how the rich live." At least Mia was looking around at the other shoppers, but the twins seemed to agree more with Cal. "We should have messaged to say we are ready," Kira said. "They said they will see us," Mia said. "We've hardly been here a minute." It was another 10 minutes before a well-dressed man stopped right alongside where Cal was sitting. "Maybe you have something," the man hissed. "Tomato," Cal said. "By your feet." And the man was walking off. Cal looked down and there was a shopping bag right by his leg. Picking it up, the dark green bag branded with a red and gold insignia, like the Imperial people use. Glancing inside he saw what looked like a tightly taped parcel. "Back to our ship," Cal said. "This is enough pirate fun for one day." Swinging the bag as though it was just a bag of fruit, Cal guided the others back the way they had come and toward the main mall entrance. Standing outside, the Sea Stallion was visible way across the spaceport. It was a longer way than he thought. "Ride to your ship." "I'll pay," Mia said to Cal, then to the driver. 10 plastic. The driver paused, but Mia kept her stare on him, and he finally nodded. At least the trip was in silence. In the Sea Stallion, the bag dropped on the floor and everyone running to get the ship up and away from this place. "I hope you enjoyed your visit," the terminal message said as they cleared the area of the spaceport. "I didn't," Cal answered to the dumb machine. "We think we should sneak a peek," Kira said. "No one will know," Kira added. "I don't want to know," Mia said. "And neither do you." After that pickup, the other 3 places were a pleasure. Friendly workers and a welcoming landing place without the artificial pretense. The 6 pods easily loaded and the ship landed back in Grand Bazaar, the whole crew guiding the pods. "Got a hand delivery too," Cal said as they dropped the pods at the receiving counter, the twins leading the way to Mr. Slee's office. Cal heard them saying, it was a real secret pirate job, before he caught up and was able to put the bag on Mr. Slee's counter. "Calling him I doing?" "Waiting." As before, the short man seemed to appear from nowhere, Mr. Slee pointing to the bag. "Any trouble?" the man said toward Cal. "Very unfriendly place, but no real trouble." The short man nodded. "I'll get the cards." And he was gone again, the bag gone with him. "We wanted to ask him what was inside," Kira said, and then the twins took turns to tell Mr. Slee the entire story of the pickup and how exciting it had been to do such a secret pirate mission. "Excitement too much for old man," Mr. Slee said when the girls finally ended their story. The short man reappeared holding the cards that he handed to Mr. Slee, who held them up toward the twins, the girls taking their card and dancing around saying "We're now real spaceship engineers," over and over. "That parcel," Cal whispered close to the short man. They were wondering. "Blank cards. Misplaced from the Imperial stores. That's why these cards are as good as real. I only do the best work," the man said, then leaning in close, "If you ever need more, we'll always arrange a deal." When the twins had calmed, and the short man had disappeared again, Mr. Slee assembled the 4 ID cards and copied their details onto his terminal. How did he know my birthday? Kira said, touching her card. Implant, Mr. Slee said. Hiding not easy. Cards perfect they being. But they won't be in the Imperial database, Mia said, Mr. Slee nodding. Neither in the list of engineers, I suppose. No one hard looking. Too much time it taking. Good it being. Business terminal setting up being today. Girls I calling junior partners. Is best, no. Sounds good, Cal said. And me? Mia asked. Full partner you being. You equal boss. What business are us junior partners boss of? Kira asked. As well as being real spaceship engineers, Kira added quickly. Stallion I making main business. Stallion lines I making freight business. Stallion produce I making produce business, and Stallion maintenance I making last one. One each, Kira said. You haven't made a pirate one, Kira said. 4 terminals. Cal asked. One only. Others names being only. I sorting in paper. Pirate work hidden. No papers. No taxes. Liking best. We like it best too, Kira said. We back being boss of Stallion secret pirates. He'll most likely agree, Mia said, looking at Cal and shaking her head. The Sea Stallion Book 2. The Base at Grand Bazaar. A Space Adventure. By Mystic Alchemist. Copyright 2024 Mystic Alchemist. All rights reserved. Written in Australian English. This book is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places and incidents are either a product of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual people living or dead, events or locales is purely coincidental. Cover and text written and assembled by hand without use of artificial intelligence.